I like the no start and stream and kind of give them a backdrop, right? Like they'll see the stream start and they'll hear us talking. I like the kind of feel of the mystery, right? When we
I like
kick
it.
off. You know what I mean? I gotta get something else though. I want to add some little bit more graphic to it, but maybe like the money jumping in the pot or something, like a
Yep.
countdown once we get
I can
close
see
or
I can
something.
see that some sort of animated media, some little thing to catch your eye.
Yeah, something. So we'll figure it out. We got football's back, baby. So you know what we
Yeah,
do.
man.
Let's get into it. We don't. Welcome everybody back to another episode of Money Pop Podcast. I am the host. I'm the CEO. I'm the president. I am him. They call me Most Money, and we got our guy back, man. It feels so good to have football back. We got our own professional gambler, the man, the myth, looking.
And what you gonna do when Hulkamania and the largest arms in the world run wild on you? Tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. right here in Toronto's Maple Leaf Gardens. Don't you dare miss this one.
Looking husky out there, boy. My guy, C Sharp, man. What's up, Sharp? What's going on, brother?
Oh man, ready to kick the fall off. I'm tired of summer. I'm here. I'm here.
I hear that. I hear that, man. So, what we're doing today, everybody, for joining in, and once again, thank you for joining in, is we're doing the NFC East. We did some little bit of other shows. I did some breakdowns, but I think it's about time Kelly Green's dropped. I know if you ran and got yours, really did a little disappointed. They didn't only have two defensive players, right?
Yeah,
That you could get. A little disappointed. Like I think BG and Cox should have got some love there.
yeah,
But you
and some
know,
rookies. Like give some rookies some love.
yeah, like I didn't get it. I actually went down to the stadium to the pro shop when they dropped, and the line was around the goddamn corner. So I turned my car right the hell around. I was like, "There's no way in the world I'm waiting 2-3 hours in line just to get these jerseys." And to come to find out, they didn't have the jerseys I wanted. I wanted a Grandma Cox. I just didn't know which one I was going to go. That 5-5 kind of looked kind of pretty
Yeah, I like
in
the
that
double
green.
nickel.
Yeah, the double nickel would probably look pretty. He's an OG. He's a should be probably going into the Hall of Fame for the Eagles at least. He's the most longest tenure. So, and to me, he still has the biggest. He's got the not the biggest, the most important play in Eagles history to me. Some people say Philly, Philly. There's a couple ones out there. Deshaun's run back, but for me, it was the strip sack in the Super Bowl to finish it off. So, but no, they didn't have it. But the kind of kickoff, Kelly Green, a lot of Eagles talk out here, training camp stats everywhere. Jalen just threw his first pick of training
Um,
camp. You know what I mean? Like we got those stat warriors out here. I
I'm
thought it'd be good to give you guys the NFC East preview with my guy C Sharp. Man, we've been jumping up the bit to get this going, so we are here. Go ahead, Sharp. What you gonna say?
I'm not gonna lie. August, as a gambler, August is my as a gambler, I made my bets a month ago when the over unders come out. I trust my process and how I think teams did
Yeah.
in the draft, how I think teams did in free agency. All that's pretty much done, and nothing gets me more than insiders, quote unquote, tracking stats in camp when there's no live bullets, no one's getting tackled.
Right.
Anyone
Nothing.
that judges a QB's performance when he can't get hit, it's just not worth it.
No, yeah, exactly, exactly. I'm not going to go into the whole training camp updates and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure we all here. We're here to bet. We're here to make money,
Straight cash,
and we're here
homie.
to talk about how our process goes, so you guys can make money right with us. Because I've been saying this a little bit. If you've been following me on Twitter, man, I've been on a hell of a run with baseball. Cooled off a little bit lately, actually, but the 1 month, man, I ran it up pretty good. So I'm armed, ready to go for football season. Bankroll's already ready, set, ready to go. I usually don't bet for me until after training camp because you never know when injuries happen. I know a lot of these guys have been really safe so far. I think Burrow was the big scare from everybody when he kind of pulled up lame. So people are like, oh, that's the Achilles. But seems like he might be ready for, week one. But who knows what that looks like. But that could be a lingering factor for them. So those who are on Cincinnati, I'm a fan of Cincinnati getting to the Super Bowl from the AFC as well. So it's going to be I kind of wait just right at the end, right before game one.
So I definitely am with you there in terms of betting week one. Like I don't, especially like this, like today we got news on Kamara. He's out 3 games.
Yeah, he's out 3 games,
they were favored against the Titans by 3. Without Kamara, I could see that maybe being 2.5 at kickoff, something like that. So those are little things. When I was saying my bets are already in, I was talking season win totals, your over-unders, little stuff like that. Like when we go through it, there's about 4 teams I think you can make good money on where I think Vegas is a little off on how they see the teams this year.
Yep, I completely agree. There's always value to be found, and that's what we're here for. When I first looked at these odds weren't like this. The Cowboys, Giants, and Washington were all pretty standard. I think Washington wasn't 13-1 at that point. I think they were more like 10-1. But the Eagles, when I had first looked at it, the Eagles were plus money, and barely plus money, but they were plus 110. Obviously, money starting to come in on the Eagles from those training camp stats that we're getting here. But from the top of the list, the Eagles are the favorite, minus 115. Cowboys come right behind at plus 175, which I find very interesting because I think that's kind of high for me. And then the Giants and the Commanders pull up the rear. Giants plus 700, plus 1,300. Now, the big stigmatism about this division, there hasn't been a repeat winner since, I think, 20, I want to say almost 18 years or something like that, 15 years?
It's been a long time. It's been a very long time. It's been longer than Jason Kelsey's career. I'll tell you that.
Right, exactly. So I think this 175 is baked into that a little bit, but I still think this is still a little bit high. I do think the Dallas Cowboys are a talented team, but I think they're a talented team in the NFC East. They're probably a talented team in the NFC, but the Philadelphia Eagles roster is a talented roster for the whole league, possibly, if not the best roster on paper in the whole entire league. They got better some way, somehow, than last year. Now, continuity could be a little bit different. A lot of different pieces in terms of your coordinators. That's what happens when you get to the Super Bowl. So we'll see how that gels. We'll see how that kind of goes. They need some dogs, literally, to step up on the defensive side. So we'll see how that goes. And that kind of goes in the breakdown. So Sharp has his process. We talk back and forth about that process. But for me, I've always said this. The first thing I look at when I look at divisions, season totals, and stuff like that is that head coach and that quarterback, kind of relationship. Is that a good relationship? Is that one of the best? And is that in a top tier where we can really take that? And to me, I still think this is a no-brainer that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win the division for me. I don't see them losing a lot of games, especially if Jalen, knock on wood, is healthy for all 17 games. They're returning almost everybody, if not more. And then I think this number is, I don't know, that minus 115, man. I think it should be really like minus 130, 145. Like, I think Vegas is giving people a break. Eagles are a public team too, but man, minus 115 for a team that's top 3 in Super Bowl odds. I feel like that's low.
Yeah, I mean 115 is good. I think the average is like 140, 135 on most platforms. So I think you're getting good value at 115 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
You got Cowboys at 190 plus 190 there. So yeah, I mean that's kind of where they're at across the board. So you're getting a little bit of value on the Eagles there. I think they probably win the division. I mean, I think obviously the schedule's different. I think the thing people and most bettors look at a little bit more than the media and fans do is do a deep dive into the schedule and be realistic when you look at a schedule. And the Eagles schedule is a gauntlet. There's just no way around it. And when you look at the schedule, they've got to get off to a good start. Like they've almost got to be 5-0. You know, I hate to say like a team's got to start out 5-0, but they almost got to start out 5-0. Because in the back half, you know, just injuries will set in. You saw it last year. Lane Johnson was out for some games. It always happens. In the beginning of the year, every team, everyone's fan base, coaching staff, front office, everyone is smelling themselves. Everyone thinks they're going to be better than they were last year, and rightfully so. Like, I get the optimism, but you have to look at it realistically. And I do think the Cowboys are you know, a couple injuries for the Eagles. You know, the Eagles lose an offensive tackle for 2 months. I could see that being like this. It's that close of a race. So for me personally, I wouldn't bet on the Eagles. It wouldn't be one of my bigger bets in terms of like, I think for sure they're a lock to win the division. I think if you were gung ho on the Eagles, you're just going to get better odds betting on them to win the NFC. So I look at it like that. I wouldn't bet on them to win the division. If you like them that much, just go ahead and put them to win the Super Bowl, or go ahead and put them to win the NFC just because you're going to get better odds.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think for our bet small, win big bettors out there, that you got to understand, like, these are season-long bets. So when you go into the division counting on your bankroll, if you're only planning on betting $100, you know, putting $100 on minus 115 just to win 185 back, you know, you're waiting a whole year just to get $85 back. So that might not be your best bet. So from a division standpoint, absolutely. I think that if this is going to be a bet, at least it's got to be a 5-unit bet. Like, it's got to be worth you waiting it out to get some type of value. And even 5 units is a little bit light from, like, you know,
as a pure bettor, like, I'm looking at the value of the Giants when you got Daniel Jones could take a jump, Brian Daboll could take a jump. I'm an Eagles fan, so I'm not saying this would or could happen, but the Eagles could lose Jalen Hurts. Guys get injured. Tom Brady's been out for a year. Peyton Manning's had surgeries. Andrew Luck's had surgeries. Guys get hurt. It's football. I mean, if Jalen Hurts is out for the year early on, I could see the Giants being in a dogfight with the Cowboys for the division. And if you're giving me 8.5 to 1, I mean, I'm just looking as a betting perspective. That would be something where a $100 bet netting out $850, or a $200 bet netting out $1,700. Now that's something where, just as a pure bettor, and even as an Eagles fan, I mean, think if it would suck. Jalen Hurts goes down for the year, our season's probably over. But hey, if somehow the Giants win the division, at least you get $1,700 in your pocket at the end. So those are the things as a bettor. I try not to look as a fan, and I try to find value. I don't think the Commanders in any way, shape, or form, no matter if Dak got hurt for the year and Hurts got hurt for the year, I don't see them winning the division. So I just don't see value in 16 to 1. But I do see a little bit of value on the Giants, 8.5 to 1. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no, I think the Giants are better than what people are giving them credit for, especially with Barkley back. If Barkley wasn't back, they had no shot. But the fact that Barkley is back, he's playing ball. He'll probably make some business decisions on a couple plays here and there, I would think. But still, no, you know, they're kind of back. And then, you know, who is it? Hyatt? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah, Hyatt. Yeah,
from Tennessee.
He gives him a nice stretch, and Jones is better than what people give him credit for. You know, with I was actually looking at his rushing yards once Barkley was looking like a holdout. I thought that might have gave Jones a lot of room to really kind of have almost 700 to 800 type rushing yards. But with Barkley back and that team kind of back too as well, I expect them to be above average, team. I expect them to maybe more likely have a winning record, but we'll get more into the Giants. Let's stick with the Eagles here. You were talking about the schedule. So, like you said, the schedule is daunting, and I think it's really around November. This 5-game stretch or 6-game stretch, 7-game stretch actually, is a beast, right? You start with Dallas. Then you're on a bye. Then you go to KC, Super Bowl matchup, home for Buffalo, home for San Fran. Rematch of the NFC Championship was going to be huge, obviously. And then away at Dallas, away at Seattle, and then you're back home for Christmas for
Yeah.
New York. So, like, I think you said they can start off pretty good, pretty fast.
They got to.
They beat New England. We already know what Kirk Cousins is in night games. Tampa's nothing. I wouldn't overlook Washington because that defense is definitely good. And they got some secondary help in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't overlook Washington just because it's a division
opponent.
It's a division opponent, and I'm a big Ron Rivera fan. I've always liked Ron. I think his teams are pretty well coached for the most part. He just had bad luck and can't find a quarterback.
And as far as matchups go, they're the fastest receiving core in the division. Now, maybe the Eagles are a little faster, but we don't play ourselves. And the one thing the Eagles are susceptible to, yes, I think Bradbury's a really good player. Yes, I think Avonte Maddox is a really good player. Obviously, I think Darius Slay's a really good player. None of those guys run 4.3. And Washington has a trio of wide receivers that run 4.3. And we saw that last year. They're able to run deep routes, which clears everything out, and then they run the ball at us. So they are a matchup problem. And like you said, if their defense can get their shit together, man, they're a handful.
Yeah, if Young comes back and can be what he's suspected to be, they'll definitely be a problem because that front seven actually is the dogs. They're ridiculous. So like you said, and then Miami here ain't nothing to sleep on either. Miami's got a high power offense as well. So like you said, this is a tough stretch, but I do expect them to win at least 12 or more games, and I think they're over and under. I'll bring back up the book. I think their over and under is at 11.5.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. I'll bring that up real quick.
I think 11.5 is a pretty good number. That's just one I wouldn't, in my opinion, it's just one I'd stay away from.
Win totals. And then, these are the parlays. I hate it when it does that.
You were right on it. It's definitely 11.5.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 11.5.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But it should be. I don't think it's plus money though. I think it's like it is a little bit right.
The over's plus money a little bit. Yeah,
a little bit of 1.4 on there. Like you said, I mean we're getting close to the season, so these odds are changing because people are really starting to probably pour in some money. You got a lot of public money coming in nowadays. Everybody can bet from their cell phone. So back in the day, when you had your sharps and your pros were in syndicate groups, they would usually be the last ones to put in money. But people like regular bettors, recreational bettors are getting smarter, and they're understanding, following trends and understanding stuff. And information's passed really fast nowadays. So it's really hard to say unless you have inside track to some books about what's pros and what's Joes, as they say. In the betting community and betting world about sharp versus the the regular guy betting at the window. So like I said, the Eagles were a little bit different. Could have been some early money. I think Sharp is kind of following what more the pros have been doing. Pros have been getting in kind of early when the numbers drop, almost as soon as they drop to get in front of the VIG. So right now, me looking at this right now, knowing my bankroll. I would probably say I would more likely bet them to win the conference than getting this regular season total. But I'm not mad if you like this bet and you want to throw for anywhere from 3 to 5 units on it. And unit being $100 in our measurements. I just found out, Sharp. I was talking to a professional gambler on a network show. Has 40, 50,000 followers or whatever. And somebody called him out about a bet because he put in the math of how to bet, there's 2%, 3% burials that they do, right? And his math came out to saying that his betting size was literally $5. That's what he calls a unit, was $5.
Oh gosh.
So the whole time he's telling people how to bet units and stuff, he's actually betting his unit size as a $5 bet, while other people I don't know what other people thought. But when you say unit and people know the language, they're automatically thinking you're thinking $100. And he was not betting $100. He was betting $5. So when he's like 3, 4, 5 unit play, these are $25 bets. I was like, I called him. I was like, get the fuck out of here, man, with your bullshit. Like, come on, man. You can't just assume people are thinking that you bet $5 bets. If you bet $5 bet, that's fine. It's your bet. At the end of the day, as long as you win, who cares about the betting size? As long as you win and you're giving winners, hey, that's cool. But don't say unit and 3% burial or 5% burial, whatever else language that most people use, and it'd be kind of like a fraud. Like you're not even scratching the surface of what maybe your bankroll is. So I just thought that was funny.
That's you got to be careful of people that portray. There's a difference between actually sports betting and talking about sports betting.
Yeah, that's funny. But of all the bets, the division bet, for at least for the Eagles for now, the division bet, the over and under of their win total, the conference bet, I agree with Sharp here. I think the best bet for the Eagles right now is for them to win the NFC Championship and get right back to the Super Bowl at plus 330. I think that's a decent bet. I think they're the cream of the crop in the NFC. I don't think it's close. A lot of people like this Niners team. As you can see, the odds are there, and I understand because our Niners team is definitely loaded from a roster top to bottom, but I don't trust the quarterback. I don't know if Purdy's going to be back, and if he is, he's coming off. We don't know what Tommy John's surgery looks like for a quarterback, coming off that type of surgery. So I know this is quarterback friendly, but we've seen Trey Lance. We know what Lance is. Sam is a journeyman at this point. He's not, Sam is not the same as it was before when he first got drafted. So I've seen Trey Lance. I don't know. I don't think he's still developing. And I don't know, did he get enough time to play where that development would jump? Was it year 3 for him? Was it year 3 for Lance? Year 4?
Year 3.
Year 3. So, hell of a roster. You could argue it's the best roster in the league, but the quarterback is a down for me. So, give me the Philadelphia Eagles to win the NFC Championship plus 330. That's the best bet.
And real quick out there for some people that maybe you're new to betting, this is another kind of a pro tip. If you don't want to have the book hold your money for months on end, which is essentially what future plays are, you can do what's called a rollover money line parlay, meaning when the playoffs come, just take the Eagles money line in whatever playoff game. If they win, you roll that money over into another money line bet the next week, and essentially if they win the NFC, they've won 2 playoff games or 3 if they've played the wild card, and that would actually pay out a little more than 330. So and the book wouldn't have your money for months on end. So there is that. When it comes to divisions, like we were talking about, like I think the Eagles are kind of predicted where they should be, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I agree. So speaking on the Eagles, before we move to the other division and see if there's any value in anybody else and see if we can talk ourselves into any other bets for this division that makes sense. I like to do a little props, season awards for the teams as well. Anything with the Eagles, any value. I don't like Hurts as an MVP because I just don't think he can pass enough to win it. Like there's still some stats that go along with that, but I don't think that Hurts can win it, and I don't think it's a good value bet at plus 1,200. I know you like some of the young guys. Any type of I've been hearing Jalen Carter's been getting some defensive rookie love here. He's second in odds. Any truth to that? Do you think that a defensive tackle can win Rookie of the Year?
Yes, but not in his situation. And that's not saying he's not going to be a great player, but I just think the Eagles are going to have a deep, deep rotation. And they're going to try to limit his snap counts, everyone's snap counts, just to keep him fresh. This team wants to go on a deep run. Regular season awards, honestly, doesn't mean anything to this team. I think Hurts as the leader is going. That's kind of his mantra. I think everyone's going to follow suit there. So I don't think anyone's going to be hunting stats. And most people don't realize this, but that was kind of the falling out between Javon Hargrave and the Eagles, and why they didn't even tender a third contract to him. He was hunting stats late in the season. Most people don't realize that. He was only hunting pass rush on the last 6 weeks. He might have been the lowest graded run defender of all interior D linemen in the National Football League. Like, he was that bad. And again, that's just, he was making a business decision, and that's okay. The NFL pays more for sacks than they do for run pluggers, and he made a decision, and so that's why he's no longer here. And so I think Jalen Carter he might not hunt the sacks of a Javon Hargrave, but I think he'll be more of a well-balanced defensive tackle, and so that'll just help the team, but that won't help him individually, so I wouldn't touch him for Rookie of the Year.
Now, what about any type of receiving? We got A.J. Brown.
A.J. Brown's a layup. This is like, go whatever you feel comfortable with, put it on. I mean, it's 10-50, folks. He's going to hit this by like week 13. I mean,
and what about we got a lot of noise about Devontae too.
And I was going to get to it. So, and I think Devontae has a chance to lead the team in receiving. So I thought this last year. Remember that? I thought this last year. I thought it was Devontae's years last year to really going to come out, but it was still AJ who had a phenomenal year. Yeah. So I think that both of them are going to kind of come a little closer. Like Devontae was a little over. Smitty was a little over 1,200 last year, I believe. AJ was like right at 1,400. I could see them both this year being more like 1,250, 1,300. Okay. I think there's a way that you can parlay this, which is an interesting take. So because Devontae's is 9,755. Yeah, so you can parlay them both to go over 1,000 yards. Yep. Where's he at? 105, and that pays out 190. So it's almost 2 to 1. Yeah, it should pay out almost 2 to 1. AJ Brown. Yeah, for A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to go over 1,000 yards. Yeah. Now, I saw Goddard came out and said something. Any chance they get 3 of them? I mean, I haven't, off the top of my head, I haven't looked at what his prop. I mean, his prop's probably in the 600s. Okay, there it is, 675.5. So, I mean, I don't know that Goddard's going to hit 1,000 yards receiving, but can he go over his prop? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we know how the Eagles roll, right? Their owner wants to pass, right? Right. They brought in DeAndre Swift. Everyone's thinking, to run. No, they brought in DeAndre Swift to catch the ball because this team wants to run full West Coast. Well, full West Coast offense is you pass to pass and then you short pass to run. Yeah. So you already know this year they're going to be telling Hurts, throw to the running backs. Don't run yourself and take that hit, right? So he's going to be looking to dump it off in the passing game. So I think Hurts individually won't – I think they're going to try to limit his usage rate, and I think he'll be throwing at an all-time high. Yeah, so I could see any receiving target, their over is going to be a pretty good value. Yeah. I think I like this bet right here, and then just because we're on the Eagles, and we can add to it, obviously – once we get to the other teams, if we see anything in there that we like. But I think it's pretty good bet to have just Devontae and A.J. Brown over 1,000 yards. Only way this doesn't hit, unfortunately, if there's some type of injury. But even if they get injured, like you said, I don't think it's going to take 17 games for either of these to get over. I think they might get this in, like you said, week 13, week 14. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody's out for a couple games and they still get over 1,000 yards. I agree. And here's my thing. I wouldn't put all my eggs in the parlay basket too. I would make a parlay that, obviously gets you value, but then bet those individually so that if 2 of the 3 hit, you still get your money back on the parlay. That's how you got to look at things like that. Because one injury to one of those 3 sinks your parlay, where if one injury to one of those 3 and you've got the other 2 bet individually, that only helps them. Does that make sense? Yeah, absolutely. No, so absolutely. You got to kind of cover yourself. You're protecting yourself in the bet. Exactly. Yeah, no, I get it. Absolutely.
All right. I don't think I have anything else from the Eagles. Unless you do, we can move on to the
No, those are my
Cowboys.
favorite. I was going to bring up my best bets were AJ and Devontae, and if you liked Goddard, my only fear with Goddard, he's such an upright runner. He's so susceptible to big hits, and I
Yeah,
don't think that's
he
that's
might get
just
hurt.
him. I don't think that's
Yeah.
ever going to change. So, I mean, if he misses a month because of cracked ribs, I won't be shocked. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? That's just how he is. He's a big dude that runs fast and he gets hit.
Yep. Completely agree. Completely agree. All right, we got the Dallas Cowboys. Woo. Over 9.5 wins. They're right now. You're paying a big tax on that. That's -162. So obviously that is not a bet for us. Now let me give you fair warning for those who are big time Eagles fans. And as you can see, me and Sharp, you can check the background, the colors, money pot, everything is all green. But when we talk about our hated rivalries, it's taking the fan out of it, and we're talking about number. What makes sense in terms of betting? Can we find value in betting on the Dallas Cowboys? So remember when we start looking at that, don't get caught up with Dak sucks, they suck, McCarthy, all that stuff goes into factor. But like Sharp said, the first thing I look at quarterback head coach matchup, and then you go to the schedule, and then you break it down from there on going forward. So Dak Prescott, we already know what he is. McCartney, kind of that marriage kind of works. They won a lot of games already. Some faltering issues, some coaching issues. Obviously, Dak didn't have a great year from an interception standpoint. Question is, he's going to throw a lot of picks this year, stuff like that. But let's not get it twisted. This is a talented team, talented roster. You got to hope. I forget. It's not coming off my name. The running back. He comes back decent.
Tony Pollard.
Yeah, Pollard. There it is. Pollard being healthy, and Brandon Cooks on this team could really change a lot with this team. So, but what I'm having some fear of is Pollard. If Pollard's not 100%, I know Ronald Jones just got suspended himself. So, kind of like you said with Hurts, Dak's going to have the green light to throw it up, and he's got some cats to throw it to. He's got CeeDee Lamb, he's got Brandon Cooks, and then Gallup, and then the tight end, was it Ferguson? I think it was.
Yeah,
they drafted Ferguson in third, fourth round, somewhere in there.
Yep.
Wisconsin, I believe. And then no, that was a year ago. He was drafted. They got
last year they drafted the Michigan guy. I thought.
Yeah, the Michigan guy, Shoemaker. Or whatever his last name.
Shoemaker they drafted this year, which I think they're going to do a lot of two. I don't know how they're going to run. I've heard 2 tight end sets. I think they're going to be a little more multiple.
Right, but I mean this team is talented. So there's a reason why that 9.5 is -165. So this team should be above average team, which would give them somewhere between the 11. Good things happen. 12 wins. So offensive line is stout. They got some issues with getting Zach Martin signed. I think Jerry does the right thing and get him signed. And the defensive front is loaded. Lawrence, Parsons, what's that kid? Not the new kid, not Mizey Smith, but Asa. The other tackle is underrated. They're bringing Gilmore.
They've got Odigizua. He's a young kid. He can get. Right. And then they got Sam Williams off the edge, another young kid from Ole Miss. He's good. They've got dudes that can get after the quarterback.
Yeah, and then the back ends. We'll see what Gilmore can do. We already know what Trevon Diggs is. So, like I said, just going through the roster, looking at this team is no slouch. They're going to jump almost like any other team, as good as their quarterback can go. But for them to win the NFC East, for me, Dak's got to be special. Just don't know if he can be special enough. Like the Eagles, they do have a pretty hard schedule, and the schedule is pretty hard come the end of the year. So let me bring up the schedule real quick.
They have a tough schedule. It's not as tough as the Eagles, but it's tough. And my number one fear, if I was a Cowboys fan or a guy betting on the Cowboys, and why I think the Eagles ultimately win the division. Like I said, I think it's going to be closer. I don't think the Eagles are going to be blowing everyone out on their schedule like last year and coasting to a division title. I do think that the Cowboys made a horrible mistake holding on to Tyron Smith. Every Eagles fan knows how Jason Peters looked his last year when they finally were like, all right, Mulata's got to just be our left tackle. That last year of Jason Peters was hard to watch. Guy was a phenomenal Eagle, all-time Eagle. But the last year he just couldn't block, right? We saw it. Yeah. He would come in and out of the games. He couldn't even finish games. When he was in there, he was lay-in or holding penalty because he was just getting run over. And I think that's where the Cowboys are headed with Tyron Smith. I thought that rookie Tyler Smith from Tulsa did a pretty good job. I don't know why they're kicking him to guard. They should have just let him grow at left tackle, like the Eagles have let Mulata grow at left tackle and deal with the mistakes. I think that's in trouble. I think if the Cowboys are going to try to pass at an all-time high this year, I could see left tackle being a major issue, and I could see Dak being under siege. That's just how I look at it. I don't know that I would take the under in their win total for that reason, but if there's cause for concern, if it's an Achilles heel, it's going to be that left tackle spot.
Well, I was looking at the schedule when I was looking at this before, and, it's not good to have 6 of your first 6 games, 4 of them on the road, right? Yeah. So you're in New York twice, right? And, the Jets could be something to that's not a cakewalk anymore.
No, those are 2 good pass rushes right off the gate. So we're going to find out about old man Tyron right out of the gate.
Right. And then, so just say you split those 1-1, you win these 2, you're 3-1. San Fran is going to be a tough out.
Yeah, exactly. San Fran's front 7 versus, I don't know.
Yeah, and then you got the Chargers here, another tough out. Should be a high-scoring game. And then you get your week, you get the Rams, and then you got 2 division games. Carolina should win. Washington, we already talked about with the Eagles, not a cakewalk. And then Seattle, and then Philly again, and then at Buffalo, and then at Miami, and then home in Detroit, and then try to finish the division at Washington in cold weather in January. So couple tough stretches here in the beginning, not easy. 4 games on the road out of 6, and then this last stretch when you start with kind of Washington here, this is daunting. These are 3 home games, but this ain't easy. During the holidays, Thursday game, come back to another Thursday game for Seattle, Philly, then at Buffalo, one of the toughest places to play at Buffalo, then at Miami. You got Miami nights, people, Christmas Eve. Who knows?
Think of that back to back right there at Buffalo, at Miami. One could be cold and windy, the other could be hot and humid. That's tough on a bunch of big fellas in the line. Back to back weeks, you're going from cold to hot. Like 330-pound guys don't like that.
Right. So I think I wouldn't touch the win total. Kind of similar to what you're saying, but very talented team. Counting what Dak does. If he can be a top 10 quarterback, top 8, maybe even top 8 quarterback, then they hit this. Might be a little bit of value on the under here because it's a little bit of plus money, but I would be really scared.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, man, their best offensive lineman isn't practicing in camp. Tyron Smith's old and a sieve, in my opinion. Man, I don't know. That would be cause for concern. Right out of the gate, you're facing 2 tough pass rushers. I'm telling you right now, if you can kind of hear what I'm saying, I'm leaning Giants week 1.
Yeah, we'll get to week 1 and we'll take a look at some.
That'll be really interesting as an Eagles fan and not even as a bettor, like just as a football fan. That's a week 1 game you got to watch, I think. Giants, Cowboys, that'll dictate a lot of how both those teams go.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so we talked about our receiving prompt for A.J. Brown and obviously Devontae Smith. Can we find any value or anything with the Cowboys? CeeDee Lamb had a pretty big year. I think he had almost over 1,300 yards last year. And then with Brandon Cooks being around, like you said, they could be under siege and throwing. I think this is pretty low for Cooks. People forget how good Cooks is at 700. Being the second, I'm trying to think. Well, I think who was it? Schultz last year?
Yeah, Dalton Schultz
was their second leading receiver, and he's a tight end. He had over 800 yards.
Yeah.
So, I I I oh no, I'm sorry. He had not on 800 yards. Let me correct myself. He had 577 yards. CeeDee
8
Lamb led.
touchdowns. He scored a lot. Dalton Schultz caught a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah. He and CeeDee Lamb had almost 1400 yards. He had 1359. He had 107 receptions.
But
So
remember, they didn't. Gallup went out, and they didn't have a third receiver like Brandon Cook. So it was really it was drop back and look for CD, drop back and look for CD. I don't know that they're going to do that this year. So, man, I don't know. I do think CD goes over, but I don't. It could barely go over, kind of thing. His number seems a bit inflated. Like the fact that CD Lamb's number is higher than AJ Brown's to me is crazy.
No, AJ's was 1100.
I thought AJ's was 1050.
1125 on at least on this book on FanDuel. 1125. If you got it at 1050, that's a good. Or you were looking here. Is it blurry? It might be blurry.
No, you're good. You're good. I was looking on mine too.
Okay. So go into our little parlay that we had there, maybe an NFC East receiving parlay. Can we find a bet to put CD over 1,000? Adding them to the AJ Brown, Devontae, and then putting CD there over 1,000. Or is that
I like Terry McLaurin. Like if we're doing like an NFC East parlay, Terry McLaurin's is 900.
Yeah, but do you trust who is it? Sam Howell there?
I mean, it doesn't matter. Terry McLaurin. He's gone over 1,000 yards every year he's been in the league, and he's had not great quarterbacks.
Right.
So yeah, like I'm saying, I think the NFC East is going to be a passing league. Like if you wanted to, I'm with you. Like if you wanted to throw McLaurin, Lamb, Brown, and Devontae in like kind of a four-way and just be like, hey, all the number one receivers or all the good, I guess however you want to look at Devontae. I look at him as a number one receiver, even though he's technically the number two receiver on our team. He'd be the number one receiver on 2/3 of the league. But I think all four of those could easily hit their prop, So I think that's a good little four-way bet, personally.
Yeah, it's about almost 10-1.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's $200 pays $2,000. That's a vacation.
Yeah, facts.
And in my opinion, that's a fun prop to root for. Just as like a fan, sometimes when you bet under on win totals, you know me, I love taking unders on games. Like that's not always aesthetically pleasing football to watch when you're taking unders. But if you're taking four receivers to go over for the season and a couple of them on your fantasy team, it makes for a fun year.
Yeah, for sure. And I was about to just say that it gives them even added plus fun for fantasy. And then even when teams are losing, right? They're passing to kind of catch up. So. Exactly. They can still, they can still get their money. So I do like this bet as well. I think it's worth the bet. So any of those guys out there, my bet small, win big guys. If
10-1.
10-1 is good. If it's outside of your bankroll, it's okay. At least we'll put a little 75 on there, right? It's not bad.
Do a half. Hey, half unit, $500. 50 to win 500. Nothing wrong with that.
50 to win 500. Nothing wrong with that. 50 to win 500. There's nothing wrong with that. I like this bet. I'll probably tail this bet as well. There's a lot of fun in this too, though. I've been playing with this. There's a lot of fun with this 1,000, and then you can even keep going up with the 1,200, which gets real interesting. With the top half of this, AJ Brown's plus money for 1,200.
Yeah, on the alt spreads, yeah.
So. You guys can have fun, but what we want to do is give you a bet that is doable, it's trendy, it makes sense from the metrics, and you still get a payout, right? You get a decent payout. So let's not get too greedy, right? Because hitting parlays are tough. They always will be tough. Got to get a little bit of luck, but you can also have Lady Luck kind of more on your side because you're betting with, where the odds are. So. I like this bet a lot. Anything from the Dallas Cowboys? Can we find a bet for Parsons to win Defensive Player of the Year?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't. He's one of the favorites, so I don't think that's. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's going out on a limb to say he could easily win Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he's a stud.
Yeah, I usually don't bet awards.
Defense
Like
is so
they-
hit or miss. Like it's so
Yeah.
stat driven, and that's like some of that's luck.
Yeah. Oh shit. A lot of this shit is luck. How about your
Yeah,
boy Sauce
yeah.
Gardner? We get Sauce Gardner Defensive Player of the Year. When's the last time a
Yeah,
corner won that
corners aren't
shit?
winning Defensive Player of the Year.
When's the last time a corner won? I like TJ Watt's always up there, so I like TJ. And then Nick Bosa's
What's
sitting out. So.
I'm scrolling down now trying to find what Micah.
Parsons.
I think they're using him just as a straight up pass rusher this year, aren't they?
I have no idea. Honestly, I have no idea if they are. It'd be smart if they did.
His sack
Right?
totals 13.25.
Yeah, he should get that. He's a 15
Yeah, I like
guy.
that. I mean, I think he's like a 15 sack guy. Like,
Yeah, he's a 15 sack guy for sure. For sure. I didn't even think about going back to the Eagles. Hassan Reddick is interesting at 30-1.
yeah, I'm scrolling down. Like, I'm going by his too. I was like, I was looking at sacks now. You might be able to combine both those. I'm looking for Hassan.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to have him down.
He's
so
11.75.
Yeah, he eats that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way. Yeah.
So, like, think of that. Like, look at that. Like, think of the value on Hassan Reddick. His is 11.75 and plus money on the over. Nick Bosa's is 15.25 slanted to the over. So, like, in my opinion, there's no way they should be 3.5 sacks apart on their prop.
Right.
They're the same level player.
They are. Yes. Agreed.
I mean, and that's not me saying as an Eagles fan. Like, Hassan Reddick is a bad dude.
He does get the respect, though. He doesn't
get the respect from the national, but he wasn't a top pick, and he's been on 3 teams, and so that's just the nature of the beast. And Nick Bosa's dad played in the league, and his older brother played in the league, and he was a top pick, and so that's just how it goes.
Yeah, it's just name recognition for sure. All right, let's keep it moving. We'll go to the next team. Let's do the New York G-Men, New York Giants, big old blue. Right now, they're stating at win total over 7.5, which I find kind of interesting, very low, in my opinion. So saying that they're going to be an 8-19 middle of the pack type team. I think this team is better than what people think. Trying to think, who did they draft? Who was their big draft pick? Was he somebody?
Oh, the Giants, they got Deontay Banks to play outside corner. That should help them tremendously.
Yeah, the corner. That's what it was.
And then you talked about Jalen Hyatt, the speedster from Tennessee, who's supposedly had a nice camp. So that should be a good little flanker receiver for him. So, yeah, I think their season really comes down to some of those linemen that they've drafted the last couple of years, and can they get better?
Yeah, I think Andrew Thomas is starting to get into his own at left tackle.
Yeah, the kid from Bama struggled last year as a rookie, so we'll see how he does.
Right. Was that Neal?
Yeah, Evan Neal.
Yeah, and then Waller, he's always been hurt, but he's still a threat at the tight end. Barkley obviously is back, and then you said they got speed guys. They got Slayton, Campbell. If Shepard can stay healthy, right? He's a player.
Yeah,
he just always gets hurt. But if he can stay healthy, he's definitely a player. So we'll see. The offense looks like it's okay. Not notable names, no stars outside of Barkley on the offense side of the ball. But that defense, that front is loaded.
Yeah,
you got Lawrence and Williams in front.
Kayvon Thibodeau. Yeah,
he had a good year last year.
Dexter Lawrence is probably the best, nose tackle in football. Hopefully this year we can say Jordan Davis is in that mix, but Dexter Lawrence right now, that's a bad man. Yeah,
right. And then you got your corners. You said Devontae Banks and Adoree Jackson. So.
Adoree Jackson and now Deontay Banks. So they're going to be able to play. Wink Martindale wants to play press man and send all kinds of crazy blitzes. Well, last year he couldn't do that because whoever was opposite Adoree Jackson was getting cooked. So
Right.
I think they're going to put a lot on the rookie Deonte Banks, that he's going to be able to kind of hold his side of the field down.
Looking at this schedule here, I don't know if I can find 10 losses.
No, that's what I
Right.
was saying. Like, remember when we were talking about winning the division? I thought the Giants had good value. Like, if Hurts goes down early in the season and basically kind of derails the Eagles, and all of a sudden it turns into Giants versus Cowboys, I mean, I could easily see the Giants winning 10 games, 11, and clipping the division if the Eagles are in trouble. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. And
So I
they
see
get a
value in
bye
the
late.
over on their win total. Like, I just think the
I do.
Giants are a little
Yeah.
undervalued.
Yeah, I completely do as well. And they got a bye where they need it, like late, right? It's a long
Yep.
season, it'll be a long stretch. And then that week bye in week 13 looks pretty good. And like you said, we'll know if you could argue if they win week 1 now, I'm going on a limb, but if they win week 1, they're going to hit their over.
I agree.
You know what I mean? You could argue they could, because they need to win week 1.
Because then they're going to play the Cardinals. Because then they're playing the Cardinals, and that's, I mean, the Cardinals early in the season might be bad.
Yeah, no, they're the worst team in the league.
Yeah. So that, I mean, you beat the Cowboys, all of a sudden you're 2-0.
Yeah, you're 2-0. You got San Fran on Thursday coming back. That's going to be a tough fight.
That's a tough game, but at least you're catching San Fran on a short week.
Yeah, you catch San Fran on a short week. And then obviously Seattle, Miami, and Buffalo. So, Buffalo's, I wouldn't say a home game, but it's in New York. So it's not like you're traveling.
That's why your breakdowns of the schedule, when you pull them up, like, dude, that week 1, Giants, Cowboys, that's a banger for both those teams. Like, that is, I hate to say week 1's must win, because obviously it's not, but it's going to send both those teams down one path or the other.
Yeah, so let's just count it. Can we find, so this worst case scenario, they lose to San Fran, they lose to Seattle, Miami, so there's 4 losses. Say they split Dallas, so that's 5 losses. They split Washington, that's 6 losses. They win here. Yeah, even if they lose the 3 of the last 4 when they get to New Orleans, that's still only 9 losses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's a worst case scenario. That's them losing almost 4 to 5 games straight. In the beginning.
And that's giving them like no coin flip game, where the ball bounces their way, which inevitably does. That's just how football goes.
Yeah, so I remember looking at their schedule, and I'm finding it hard to find 10 losses. So I agree here.
Yeah, no, like 8-9 seems like worst case scenario for them. Like if they go 8-9, they'll be disappointed, and it still goes over the prop.
Exactly. So looking here, I'm finding, at least 9 wins in here, which is undervalued. They got it off by at least 1 game. So I think I can find value for this bet for the Giants to hit on their over. So this is our 3rd best bet over Giants.
I agree. Like what we were talking earlier, I think the Cowboys are valued where they're supposed to be. The Eagles are valued where they're supposed to be, when you look at their schedule. And I just don't think the Giants are valued where they should be.
Yep. Yeah, agreed. All right. We'll do how we did with all the other ones. Can we find any bets for any positional players here? I was having a hard time finding one. Barkley hasn't been Barkley since his rookie year. When he had that 2000 all-purpose, a lot of workman type deal. Hopefully he gets a little bit loose because they got a little bit players. People can't key on him, but stopping Barkley, I think, and making Daniel Jones will be the kind of defensive prowess for everybody who plays the Giants. So I don't have any other bets outside of I like the over.
I think Kayvon Thibodeau's sack total is very low and very intriguing. I'm not saying he's going to hit it because he's a boomer bust type player. I think that's how he was drafted. I think that's what his tape showed at Oregon. But, his sack total is 5.75, and they're giving rookies like Will Anderson 8.25. So, when I look at value like that, I'm thinking they're putting Leonard Floyd at 7.75. Man, they're giving – how is Kayvon Thibodeau not going to get 6 sacks in a Wink Martindale defense? I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, it looks like I don't have it on this book for for FanDuel.
DraftKings, I couldn't find it on FanDuel earlier when I was looking. That's why I switched over to DraftKings to see if I could find one on him because I knew we were about to talk about the Giants. And he's at 5.75, and it's regular juice on the over.
That's low.
I agree. Like that seems crazy low.
Yeah, that's low. I know he had an injury history a little bit, right? He's Jacksonville, right? He was out in Jacksonville.
Who?
Thibodeau.
No, he's on the Giants.
No, I mean he's on the Giants, but he's. Oh no! Oh yeah, that's right. Oh damn, I'm thinking about somebody else. He was a top pick, like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, this is his second year. He was the Giants' first pick. He was the high defensive end from Oregon.
Yeah,
he had a so-so rookie year. I think he had some injury issues.
Right. Okay, yeah, I'm tripping. I'm thinking. I don't know why I was thinking Jacksonville. I know exactly.
No, he was drafted up there with like Aiden Hutchinson and those guys last year.
Yeah.
But 5.75, that just seems. I mean, like I feel like if he doesn't get that, the Giants will be really disappointed.
For sure, because he was a top 5 pick.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. No, I was thinking about somebody else for some reason. I don't know. I got kind of.
But yeah, so that's my best bet for the Giants. I think just pure upside. That's a boom or bust kind of play. Yeah, I mean, heck, he could have that hit by like week 7. Hell, you never know.
Yeah. All right, let's move on and finish it off with the Commanders. The Washington Commanders. Let me get over here. I'm going to assume that they're I'm going to take a guess. I'm going to say 6.5.
Yep, I think that's right.
Let's go to Washington. Where we at?
And it's hard for me to know what to say about them because I honestly don't know what to think about Sam Howell. Like, if he's decent, then they might be decent. If he's a train wreck, well, then they'll be a train wreck.
Yeah, and they got a couple players. I mean, they're going to run the ball, right? They got Brian Robinson coming back. Hopefully he does okay. If Sam Howell, I think Sam Howell's going to get the first crack, but if not, I'm looking at the depth chart now. They do got I didn't know they had Jacoby there.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
he's a vet, right? He's a vet.
I agree.
He knows how to lead a team. So it could be his show, not too far off. And new ownership too. Right, we got new ownership with the Commanders too, so
yeah,
could be a lot of shaking and moving, and how, of the puppet master is, pulling the strings on Ron Rivera, or how that actually looks, and who's going to start and who's not, and we'll see how that kind of plays out. They might just let him go and just see what they're like, and then kind of make decisions off of what they see. But they got Scary Terry, Dotson, Samuel. So you do got, Logan Thomas is always, I think, is a little bit underrated as a tight end.
They've got Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson, who you touched on, so they got depth at running back.
Yeah. And they play who was it? Yeah, and they play on both. And I think I saw Gibson come out and said that, he could line up a receiver more. They
could do some 2 running back sets and kind of flex him out into the slot.
Yeah. And then we already
and Curtis Samuel can do the opposite. He can do some lineup in the slot and then come in motion, get the ball in the backfield. So they got
some things they can do.
I agree.
Offense. They got some things to do. And we talked about this defense. This defense is going to keep them in games. Chase Young, Payne, Allen, Sweat. That front is just ridiculous. All of them, all first rounders up front. And and they've solidified that back in a little bit with the drafting the kid Forbes, Mississippi State. If I'm not
they got
mistaken.
Emmanuel Forbes, the young safety Cameron Curl. He keeps getting better and better. I think maybe he's a nickel, however you want to look at him, nickel safety, nickel corner. He's a good player. They've got some. Yeah. They're pretty good. Like I said, for me, it's like almost a stay away because I don't know what to think of like you said, new ownership, which was a great point. Like in my opinion, that could just be a dark cloud lifted off everybody.
For sure.
So maybe like the whole organization just does better simply because of ownership.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So, yeah, I don't have any bets on Washington. I couldn't find any value for myself to bet anything on Washington. It's going to be stay and kind of see approach. But it's going to be real interesting with the new ownership and how this all kind of works out. I mean, they're already talking about new stadiums. Supposedly, attendance is up even at the practice, and camp so far and stuff like that. So that dark cloud has moved on, and that just could just kind of light a match under this team to be really, really kind of competitive. But no bet on anything. Like you said, the only bet that we could look at.
I like the Terry McLaurin. I do think McLaurin. I don't whether it's Sam Howell or it's Jacoby Brissett. I got to imagine they're going to be looking for number 17 early and often.
Yeah, and like you said, looking at his numbers right now, the only time he didn't have 1,000 yards was his rookie year, and he had 919.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I misspoke when I said that. I thought he had 1,000 every year, but yeah, he missed it by like you said, barely.
But again, he was barely. He played 14 games.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah, so he gets that if he plays the full season, all 16 games. Back in 2019. So, we could find a bet with that scary Terry bet, but over 1,000 yards.
But man. I like throwing it in the parlay. Throw it in the parlay with the other receivers, and that's a fun parlay. That's one I'll be doing for sure.
Yeah,
I love that 10-1 NFC East receiver parlay. That's a great one.
Yeah, man. I've been playing with those for a little bit. Every time I do a division, I kind of find one in a division. Who was a good division to do? I think it was the AFC North. I think was a fun division to look at with that. I haven't done NFC South yet. I haven't done NFC West yet. I haven't done AFC West. I think I've done all the other ones though. So we got 3 more divisions to rock out to. But I think, and I mixed and matched them, right? Like I didn't even stay in the East. It's just doing the East one if you guys want to, be kind of fanboys and homers and kind of stick with the the Eagles and Cowboys and stuff. But I didn't do. I kind of mixed and matched because I think it was a little bit of fun with some of the other players in other divisions. That was really creepy, right? You just saw the back dark end.
It's the beauty of the beauty of it all. It seems like the books are the market's growing. More people are betting, whether it's casually or people trying to make actual money on it, and the books are responding. It seems like every year. The numbers come out a little earlier. They're a little sharper, and they're offering way more props every year. Like props are exploding, and the amount of things you can parlay, all that kind of stuff is totally. It's like a new frontier, It really is.
Yeah, man, and we're trying to be the leaders of the crew, the leaders of the new school, man, and trying to guide people into the right way of how to bet responsibly. Do it as a side hustle. If you get nice. Do it as full time if you can, like the homie C Sharp is doing. So
unless you play in the league, then please don't bet. They're gonna find you.
Bet. Yeah, they will find you. They're finding everybody. So that is the breakdown in NFC East. We had our 3 best bets: Eagles to win the conference, the Giants to go over their winning prompt, and our 4-team parlay of the NFC receivers for them all to go over 1,000 yards. That was A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, CeeDee Lamb, and Mr. McLaurin to go over. And I paid a little under 10-1. So,
and then I also sneak in the Kayvon Thibodeau. I do think there's value in Hassan Reddick. We talked about that a little bit. You could take over Hassan Reddick sacks and then over Kayvon Thibodeau sacks. I think those are 2 that are undervalued.
Yep. Agreed. And that's what we're here for, to give you guys value, give you guys the best bet. So please, if you're still with us, still watching us, hit the like, hit the subscribe. If you can find me on all social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Money Pop Betting, new kind of name. Still Money Pop Podcast, but want to tweak it a little bit, Money Pop Betting. We got new hats coming. We got shirts coming. Man, we can't wait for the season. For myself, Moss Money, the homie, C Sharp, getting solid over there, boy.
Getting ready to start. I can't wait to start talking about week 1 line, mans. We're here.
Yes, sir. This is Money Pop Podcast. We'll see y'all later.
Ring the bell.